I am absolutely in love with this design, and honestly, this is one of the most perfect folding knives that I've ever had the opportunity to review on this channel. What is going on? Check out this absolutely beautiful folding knife. This is the Tuya Envy 2. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Tuya knives, Tuya. It's spelled Tuya. Something very interesting about this knife is when you buy these new, they come with the stonewashed tumbled titanium, or I guess it would just be the stonewashed titanium scales, and also with a satin M390 blade. And I got this used on the used market, and the owner who got this new actually had this whole knife Cerakoted, which looks absolutely badass. This knife is still in pretty much brand new condition. Something I instantly noticed about this knife is how amazing the action is. The knife is only deployed from the flipper tab, which does have a nice upward swoop, as well with some very nice jimping to aid with that grip on your index finger. The blade flies out with ease. You can deploy it also with your thumb very easily. The lock bar access does have a little bit of a cutout here, and the lock bar is so comfortable. The access, there's absolutely no lock stick whatsoever. And the blade is not 100% drop shut. It is on ball bearings, but you do kind of have to shake it just very slightly, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. The knife is still incredibly smooth. Another thing I noticed about this knife is how spot on the ergonomics are. You can see that the handle / scales are nicely contoured with this little bit of micro milling on the scales. The edges are also very slightly chamfered over. Also, we do have this thumb ramp with the jimping on it, which is perfectly placed and designed, as well as this finger choil, which both of which would aid in some more precise cutting. Now, the only reason people carry folding knives usually is for two reasons. One, for self-defense, and two, for EDC tasks like, well, if you're a true knife enthusiast, you know that a pocket knife, generally speaking, isn't going to be used for a lot of harder things like prying, and especially something like this with M390 steel. But the way this whole knife is designed, it's going to excel very well at self-defense and also for everyday carry. And if you take a look at the blade, you would see what I mean. It has the very sleek M390 with the compound grinds, which means the tip is nicely reinforced, which it's kind of like a tanto blade in that way, but it's also not a tanto blade. And as you can tell, the blade stock is pretty thick, but it does come down to a nice thin edge with this hollow grind here. Another thing that's super spot on about this folding knife is the ergonomics. One of the most amazing ergonomics on any folding knife that I've ever experienced. You can grab this knife in so many different grip positions, and it just feels very comfortable. Tuya Knives is a knife company based out of China. They actually have some pretty amazing folding knives. Another thing that is very special about this knife is the ergonomics. As soon as you pick this knife up, you can tell that it is extremely special in the ergonomic category. It just feels so right to hold in so many different grip positions, and just like holding it is truly a pleasure. Like, you got this perfect finger choil along with this thumb ramp with the jimping. The thumb ramp is perfect. Another thing to mention is the pocket clip. Not only does it look very sleek, I mean, it is not reversible, unfortunately. It's just going to be a right-handed pocket clip. The pocket clip is honestly perfect. It goes in and out of your pockets so easily. It is titanium, but you can tell it's pretty thin here, so it's gonna have just the right amount of flexibility. Other pocket clips I've seen on other knives are just too thick here, and it would just be very stiff. And also it has this very sleek minimalist back spacer with the loop for a lanyard. Tuya Knives has come out with some pretty innovative different models over the years. And I remember several years ago, Neves Knives came out with a video about this knife. And I remember seeing it and just being mind blown about it. And that was when I first started getting into knives and EDC in general. And years down the road, I had the chance to get this one used with the Cerakoting. Like I said, you cannot get this knife new. Well, you actually can't get this knife new at all anymore, unfortunately. But I did get this from my friend Corey Frost. He runs a buy-sell trade group on Facebook called Knives in Trees. So if you have a Facebook, go check it out. He posts ads on a weekly basis where ads with hundreds of used knives for sale, and oftentimes he has some pretty rare knives from all sorts of different companies. And when I say hundreds, I mean hundreds. I saw this knife in there, and I just remembered that video I saw from Neves Knives, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get the opportunity to buy this again, because like it was the only time I've ever seen one of these for sale, and you might be able to get one on eBay. I haven't checked, but on the nowhere has these for sale new. But yeah, check out Knives in Trees on Facebook. Definitely won't regret it. I've also bought countless knives from him, and several of the knives I've shown on my channel are just his knives, so definitely a good guy. He's got a good thing going on. So yeah, check out the group. So in conclusion, I've determined that this knife will do quite well for EDC tasks as well as some harder EDC tasks. Also for some self-defense if need be. Just the whole design of this thing. The blade reminds me of like the Spartan Harsey folder. I think I'm saying that right, but we have the nice hollow grind with it's thin behind the edge for some slicing, and then the tip is reinforced with this compound grind here, and then also this part of the edge is pretty thick behind the edge, so you could definitely do some like cutting some more tough material there. And then here you can see it is pretty thick, the blade stock, but this hollow grind comes down to a nice thin edge. I am absolutely in love with this design, and honestly this is one of the most perfect folding knives that I've ever had the opportunity to review on this channel. And I don't say that lightly. I don't have any problems with this knife whatsoever. It checks all the boxes, 10 out of 10. Let me know what you think of this beauty of a folding knife. And while I said you can't get these new, Tuya, however you say their name, they actually have come out with a different model that looks almost just like this. It has the same handle shape, it's just very slightly different. It has like a frag pattern, and also the blade is the same too, which I kind of don't get, but it's a badass looking knife. And if it's anything like this, which it probably is, it's going to be amazing quality. But yeah, I might have to myself buy one of those because they're looking sleek, like with the frag on the titanium. It's basically the same knife, honestly. It just has a different name, but it's just like a revamped version, which I respect. I respect it totally. But don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my weekly knife and EDC content. And peace.